We often think we're not in control, that our job, money, relationships, or health happen randomly, or are simply dictated by fate. But quantum physics, and the real-life experiences that many are beginning to tap into, suggest the opposite. Reality isn't something you live in, it's something that lives within you. Every thought, every emotion, every frequency you emit is sending a signal into the universe. And the universe doesn't ignore it. It responds, it adjusts, it reshapes events, opportunities, even the people around you to match the energy you're broadcasting. So, why not learn how to use this? Not through empty affirmations or vague spiritual concepts, but by consciously and deliberately manipulating your own energy field to trigger what we call quantum events, those powerful shifts that bend reality in your favor. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. No fluff, no spiritual hype, just real, actionable insight into how you, yes, you, can operate your energy as a tool to redesign your reality. Stick with me until the end, and you'll uncover a secret that could change the way you experience life, from the inside out. So, before we continue with the video and explore this interesting topic further, don't forget to like, subscribe to the Top Hidden Knowledge channel to stay updated on everything related to personal and spiritual growth. This helps us bring more content that can make a difference for you. Picture a universe alive with energy, a vast symphony of vibrations humming beneath the surface of everything you see, touch, and feel. This isn't some ethereal New Age notion. It's the bedrock of physics, a truth woven into the fabric of reality. Every atom, every particle, every fleeting thought, and every surge of emotion is energy vibrating at its own unique frequency. Yet, what's been kept from us is this: your personal energy isn't just a passive reflection of your mood or physical state. It's a dynamic signal, a living transmission radiating into the quantum field, a boundless, invisible sea of potential. And that field doesn't just sit there, it responds. It sends something back, and that something is the life you're living. Every outcome, every unexpected turn of fate, every serendipitous coincidence, it's all feedback. A mirror held up to the energy you're broadcasting every moment. Now, let's get raw and real. When your energy is fractured, when you're carrying the weight of anxiety, doubt, guilt, or shame, you throw the field into chaos. You're sending out mixed signals like a radio station caught in a storm of static. Reality picks up on that noise and reflects it back with uncanny precision. Have you ever taken 5 bold steps forward, only to find yourself inexplicably 10 steps back? It's not because you're lazy or cursed by bad luck, it's because you were misaligned. Your signal was scrambled, drowned out by internal discord. But flip the script. The instant you bring clarity to your energy, everything shifts. The fog lifts, revealing a clearer path. People appear at just the right moment, as if summoned. Opportunities drop into your hands like gifts. Life starts to make sense. Not by chance, but because you've tuned your frequency to a station that plays your song. Here's the secret most people miss: your energy is programmable. Your focus, your emotional state, your intentions, they're like lines of code in a cosmic program. Imagine this: if your energy were a frequency, what melody would reality be dancing to right now? Is it a calm, steady rhythm? A scattered, frenetic beat, a desperate plea, or a powerful, resonant chord? The real law of manifestation isn't about wishing on stars or forcing a smile. It's about resonance. You don't attract what you want. You attract what you are. Your internal state is the magnet, drawing experiences that match your vibrational signature. This is why 2 people can step into the same room, the same situation, and walk away with wildly different realities. The world around them is identical, but their frequencies are not. One enters grounded, coherent, and clear, and the room bends to their energy. Doors swing open, conversations flow effortlessly, and possibilities emerge like flowers breaking through concrete. The other walks in anxious, fragmented, and doubtful, and the room offers nothing but silence. Reality doesn't bow to desperation. It responds to dominion. Not control over others, but mastery over yourself, over the signal you emit from within. Let's dive into the science that makes this real. Your nervous system is an antenna, constantly transmitting and receiving signals. Your heart generates an electromagnetic field measurable several feet beyond your body, a force that science confirms influences those around you. Your brain waves ebb and flow with your attention, shifting between focus, stress, or peace. These aren't mystical ideas. They're phenomena backed by measurable data, rooted in biology and physics. Yet, we're never taught how to wield this power. No one tells us that our emotional state is like tuning a dial to a different reality. Hold one frequency long enough, and the world begins to align, not through magic, but because you've become magnetically compatible with a new timeline, a version of life that resonates with your evolved self. This isn't about faking a high vibe or slapping on a mask of positivity to trick the universe. It's about energetic honesty, acknowledging where you stand right now, and then shifting with deliberate precision. Energy doesn't deceive, and reality doesn't bargain. You're either in coherence, sending out a stable, clear signal, or you're tangled in static, reacting to the chaos around you. And here's the thrilling part. You've tasted this truth before. Recall a moment when everything clicked, when you weren't chasing, forcing, or grasping, yet things flowed like a river finding its course. The right person called out of the blue. The perfect opportunity landed in your lap. The answer came before you even framed the question. That wasn't luck, that was alignment. You tuned into a frequency where your desires already existed, and reality danced to your rhythm. You're not here to grind your way into alignment through sheer willpower. You're here to remember that reality is always listening, always responding to the signal you emit. The question isn't whether the universe hears you, it does. The question is, what are you saying when you're not speaking? Your energy speaks louder than your words, and the quantum field is an ever-attentive audience, reflecting your inner world with mathematical accuracy. We've been conditioned to see life as an external stage, a play we watch, measure, and react to. But quantum physics shattered that illusion long ago, unveiling a truth that still eludes most. The act of observing changes what's observed, not in some poetic sense, but literally. In the quantum realm, an unobserved particle exists in a state of pure potential, a cloud of probabilities existing everywhere and nowhere simultaneously. But the moment attention lands on it, the moment someone looks, that particle collapses into a definite state. It chooses a position, becomes concrete, and the observer, the one watching, is the reason why. This is the observer effect, a principle that doesn't stay confined to labs. It shapes your daily life. Extend that idea into your own reality. Every time you gaze at your circumstances through fear, expectation, hope, or judgment, you're collapsing probabilities into form. Your attention isn't a passive bystander, it's a sculptor, chiseling the raw material of potential into the life you experience. And the energy behind your gaze? That's the master stroke. You're not just living reality, you're co-creating it with every look, every thought, every feeling. Walk into a meeting expecting rejection, and you unconsciously collapse a reality where rejection is more likely. Carry the vibration of "I never get what I want," and the field hears it, feels it, and aligns with it without debate. It's not emotional, it's mathematical. Your energy sets the range of outcomes available to you, not as punishment or a test, but because the field is reactive. It responds to your signal with unwavering precision. Here's the insight most overlook. Your conscious mind might crave change, but your subconscious beliefs often hold the lens. If deep within you believe you're unworthy, unready, or incapable, that's the energy you're projecting, regardless of the affirmations spilling from your lips. That's the observer effect playing out in your life. Your frequency observes the field through a biased filter, and that bias crafts the reality you inhabit. The universe doesn't deliver your wishes, it mirrors your expectations. And those expectations are rooted in identity, what you believe about yourself at your core. You might declare, "I want freedom," but are you expecting struggle? Are you peering at the world through the haze of past pain? If those old wounds remain unhealed, they become the lens through which you view every new opportunity. That lens bends reality before you even engage, collapsing possibilities into patterns that echo your history. Take relationships, for instance. If past betrayals have left you guarded, you might approach new connections with a subtle undercurrent of mistrust. That mistrust shapes your signal, and the field responds by reflecting situations that reinforce your caution, perhaps drawing in unreliable people or pushing away those who are genuine. It's not destiny, it's frequency at work. But here's where the power ignites. You can change the lens. You can shift your frequency. You don't need to force outcomes, you need to become a vibrational match for them. Picture your energy as a radio dial, each turn tuning you to a different timeline, a different version of your life. When you're mired in fear or lack, you're dialed into a reality that mirrors those shadows. But when you cultivate clarity, gratitude, and trust, you tune into a higher frequency, where opportunities flow, synchronicities multiply, and life feels like a dance. This isn't about pretending all is well. It's about embodying the emotional state of the reality you seek, even before the evidence arrives. Your body is a living instrument of this energy. The electromagnetic field of your heart isn't just a scientific curiosity, it's a transmitter that influences others, even from a distance, as studies confirm. Your brain waves, shifting with your focus and emotions, interact with the quantum field in ways we're only beginning to unravel. When you're in coherence, when heart, mind, and spirit align, you emit a unified signal that resonates with abundance, connection, and ease. But when you're in chaos, when your thoughts clash with your feelings and your body tenses, you send a fragmented signal, and the field reflects that discord with obstacles, delays, and confusion. Recall a moment of pure alignment. Perhaps it was a day you woke up feeling inexplicably light, gliding through challenges with grace when the right people and opportunities seemed to materialize from thin air. That wasn't a fluke. It was a glimpse of life when your energy harmonizes with the field. Imagine living there consistently. That's the essence of energetic mastery. Not chasing external wins, but cultivating an internal state that naturally draws them in. Start with your breath. It's a direct link to your nervous system, a tool to shift your state instantly. Breathe deeply and rhythmically to signal safety, calming the survival instincts that keep you stuck. This opens you to higher frequencies: clarity, gratitude, trust. Next, direct your attention with intention. Where focus goes, energy flows. Choose to dwell on what aligns with your desired reality: peace, success, connection, rather than letting worry hijack your mind. Finally, anchor into the emotion. Feel the gratitude, confidence, or joy as if it's already yours. The field responds to your emotional tone, not just your thoughts. But here's where the power kicks in. You can change the lens. You can shift the frequency. You can train yourself to hold a new state long enough and consistently enough that the field starts responding differently. You don't need to force outcomes when you become a match for them. People talk about attracting things. But it's not about pulling something toward you. It's about aligning with what's already been waiting in a different energetic pocket. You can't fake this. You can't trick the field. It knows the difference between surface optimism and embodied belief. You don't need to be perfect, but you need to be congruent. When your energy, your focus, and your internal dialogue are all saying the same thing, that's when things shift. That's when you stop reacting to life and start shaping it, not through hustle, not through effort, but through state. And the most radical part of all, you've already done it hundreds of times. You've had those moments when everything aligned, when the right person called, when the opportunity appeared, when the answer arrived before you asked the question. You didn't make it happen. You matched it. You became the observer who was no longer doubting, but trusting, no longer resisting, but allowing. And reality moved. That wasn't a chance, that was physics. And you were the force behind it. You felt it before. That eerie sense that something beyond coincidence is unfolding. You think about someone and they message you. You follow a hunch and it leads to a door you didn't know existed. You change something within and, without even speaking it aloud, your environment rearranges. These moments don't come from magic. They come from resonance, from entanglement, from a deeper layer of reality that science is only just beginning to describe, but that you've already experienced over and over again. Quantum entanglement is one of the most mind-bending truths we know. Two particles, once connected, remain linked regardless of distance. Change the state of one, and the other responds instantly. Space and time don't apply. It's as if on some level, separation is an illusion. But what's rarely discussed is how this idea doesn't stop with particles. It extends to people, to moments, to timelines, and to you. When you shift something internally, when you raise your frequency, dissolve an old belief, heal a piece of emotional weight, you're not just changing your inner world, you're changing the field around you. You are entangled with every version of yourself that could ever be. And each of those versions lives on a different timeline. Most people drift from one version to the next unconsciously, based on fear, routine, or unresolved trauma. But when you shift your energy consciously, you jump tracks. You exit one loop and step into another. And in that shift, you begin to interact with a version of reality that matches your new signal. This is why synchronicities seem to multiply during periods of growth. They're not random, they're feedback. They're signs that the field has picked up your new frequency and is starting to reflect it back to you. You didn't manifest the call, the meeting, the unexpected twist. You magnetized it through resonance. It was already there, entangled with your higher potential, just waiting for you to rise into alignment with it. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Synchronicities work both ways. If you're stuck in anxiety, in low self-worth, in lack, the field responds to that too. It's not punishing you, it's mirroring you. Ever notice how when you're in a bad place, things seem to compound? One frustration leads to another. The wrong people show up, the day spirals. That's not bad luck, that's energetic entanglement in action. You're tuned to a certain frequency and the field matches it, not emotionally, but mathematically. You are constantly entangled with versions of your life you haven't met yet. Some are miraculous, some are stagnant. The version you meet depends on your state, and you can't fake your way into the higher ones. You have to become them. You have to embody the emotions, the clarity, the trust that would exist if you were already living in that version of your timeline. Because once you shift inside, everything outside responds. Not always instantly, but inevitably. Think about those moments when you were fully in flow, when you felt light, aligned, clear. The people, the resources, the timing, it all just worked. That wasn't a coincidence, that was precision. That was a glimpse into what life looks like when you're operating as an energetic match to the reality you were born to live in. And the best part? Synchronicity is not reserved for the rare few. It's not the universe playing favorites. It's the law. It's mechanics, and it responds to all of us equally. The question is, are you broadcasting noise, or are you broadcasting signal? Because the moment you align with clarity, the moment you shed the weight and step into coherence, the field responds. Not with fireworks, not with drama, but with a quiet, undeniable, unstoppable shift. Most people think reality is reacting to their actions, their hustle, their decisions, their words. But that's only part of the picture, and not the most powerful part. The deeper truth is this: reality mirrors your internal state. Not sometimes, not when it's convenient, always. The world doesn't respond to what you say you want, it responds to who you are being. And who you are being is determined by your dominant frequency, your energy, your emotional tone, your self-concept. If your life feels chaotic, uncertain, or stuck, it's not because the universe is against you. It's because the signal you're sending out is confused. You're moving, acting, pushing, but underneath, there's doubt, fear, unworthiness. You're saying, I want success, but broadcasting, I don't believe I'm ready. You're saying, I want love, but vibrating, I'm afraid to be seen. And reality mirrors that, not because it's judging you, but because it's exact. This universe is built on resonance. You get what you are, not what you wish for. It's a brutal truth at first because it means you have to stop blaming the world, stop blaming timing, stop blaming others. But it's also liberating because it puts the power back in your hands. If your reality is a mirror, you don't need to change the reflection. You need to change the source. And that source is always internal. This is why trying to manipulate outcomes through control usually backfires. You're pulling strings externally, but the core signal hasn't changed, so the field resists. It bends, but not fully. It gives you crumbs, not the meal. That's why effort without alignment feels exhausting. You're trying to bend reality with willpower instead of resonance. But when the signal is clean, when your energy and intention are aligned, effort becomes efficient. You do less and get more because the field isn't resisting. You're in tune. One of the most overlooked parts of this is emotional hygiene. People obsess over productivity and performance, but neglect the most important part of their day, their internal calibration. You can't create coherence in the world if you're holding internal chaos, and most people are carrying resentments from last week, fears from childhood, stories from other people. Every unresolved piece of emotional baggage is a distortion in your frequency. It creates static, and static blocks signal. Cleaning up your energy doesn't mean faking positivity. It means being honest, sitting with what's there, letting go of what's not yours, and choosing deliberately how you want to feel before the world gives you a reason. That's real power. When you no longer wait for the outside to shift how you feel inside, you flip the script. You generate the emotion first. You hold the state, and then reality catches up. You've probably had glimpses of this, days when everything just worked. You were light, grateful, calm, and life responded in kind. Not because you did anything different, but because you were different. You didn't micromanage. You didn't grip tightly. You moved from clarity, and clarity is magnetic. This feedback loop is always running. Every interaction is a mirror. Every outcome is a response, and the key is to stop reacting and start responding internally. When something outside triggers you, don't chase the trigger. Ask what it's showing you about your own field. Is it asking you to align, to release, to step up? Because if you ignore the lesson, the loop continues. But if you shift the pattern, the external world updates, sometimes slowly, sometimes in an instant, but always with precision. Reality doesn't need to be convinced. It just needs to be matched. You don't fight for alignment, you become it. You let the field do the rest. Before you ever had the chance to consciously shape your reality, someone else started shaping it for you. You were born with a pure, open frequency, intuitive, curious, free. But it didn't take long before that signal was interrupted. The world taught you to fall in line. Be realistic. Don't ask too many questions. It told you that success comes from hard work, that worth comes from approval, and that safety comes from staying small. And without knowing it, you absorbed it, not just in your mind, but in your body, your energy, your subconscious. The default script was installed early, and that script is still running in the background of most people's lives. It's not just shaping what you believe, it's shaping what you broadcast. It's why you can work hard and still feel stuck, why you can set goals and somehow sabotage them. It's not that you're broken, it's that you've been wired to live reactively, not creatively. Most people are unconsciously generating a life they don't want based on frequencies they didn't choose. This isn't your fault. You were conditioned. From school systems that rewarded memorization over imagination to social systems that praised obedience over intuition, you were trained to fit in, not to stand out. You were taught to follow the program, but the program doesn't serve you. It serves the system. It's built to keep you predictable, compliant, easy to manage. Not because you're evil or lazy or unworthy, but because that's how the machine sustains itself. And as long as you're following that default script, your energy is tangled in someone else's narrative. Here's the kicker. The quantum field doesn't care where the signal comes from. Whether you're projecting a belief because it's truly yours or because it was inherited, the result is the same. The field reflects it. And so, if your energy is still coated with old fear, unresolved trauma, outdated beliefs about who you are or what's possible, then the field will faithfully recreate situations to match. You'll find yourself looping. Different faces, same patterns, different places, same feeling, until you interrupt it. Awareness is the crack in the system. The moment you begin to notice the script is the moment you begin to rewrite it. And the most powerful way to do that isn't just mental, it's energetic. You shift your frequency and the entire operating system starts to break apart. You stop feeding the loop. You start generating from a new place. But make no mistake, this part can feel messy. The ego hates rewiring. The body resists change. Everything in you will want to return to the known, even if the known is what's been limiting you. This is why energy work isn't optional, it's essential. You can't override the program by thinking alone. You have to embody something new. You have to teach your nervous system what it feels like to be free, to be powerful, to be safe in your own truth. And then you have to stay in that state long enough for the field to recalibrate around you. This isn't about grinding harder. It's about holding the new frequency while the old one tries to pull you back. That's the real test. Can you stay aligned when nothing around you reflects it yet? Can you keep choosing the upgraded version of yourself before the world confirms it? Because here's what most people don't realize. The field doesn't lead, you do. It follows your energy, not your intentions, not your words, your energy. And when your energy shifts from victimhood to authorship, from doubt to embodiment, everything starts to move. The right people enter. The right paths unfold. What once felt impossible suddenly becomes obvious. But it only happens when you stop living from the script they gave you and start living from the signal you were born to send. You don't need fixing, you need deprogramming. And once the old code is gone, there's nothing left between you and the reality you were always meant to create. You've been taught to speak with words, to communicate through sentences and sound. But the universe doesn't listen to words. It listens to energy. And if you want to shape reality at a quantum level, you have to start speaking the language it understands. Not just with intention, but with state. Because state is your true voice. It's not what you say, it's who you are while you say it. That's what the field responds to. That's what the quantum fabric of existence reads. And right now, it's listening. Your thoughts matter, but only to the extent that they shape your emotional frequency. A thought is like a spark, but emotion gives it weight. It gives it depth. If you're thinking abundance while feeling unworthy, the field will tune into the louder signal. And it's always the emotional one. That's why so many people struggle with manifestation. They focus on affirmations, rituals, and mental clarity, but their energetic foundation is still wired to fear. The output is scrambled, the message is mixed, and the quantum field reflects that distortion right back. Energy doesn't lie. You can fake a smile, fake confidence, fake success, but your frequency tells the truth, and that truth is what the universe mirrors. If you want to influence your external world, you have to start by mastering your internal one. This means regulating your nervous system, mastering your breath, learning to choose your focus, and anchoring into the emotions that match the life you actually want to live. Not someday, now. Not if everything works out, regardless of how things look. When you learn to hold gratitude before there's a reason, clarity before you have proof, peace before the outcome, you become magnetic. Not because you're manipulating the system, but because you're finally speaking its language. You're no longer waiting for reality to change so you can feel better. You're choosing to feel better so reality has no choice but to change. This isn't spiritual bypassing, it's frequency leadership. And it takes discipline. Your breath is a portal. Most people breathe unconsciously, shallow and tight. That keeps the body in survival mode. But when you control your breath, when you slow it, deepen it, rhythm it, you signal to your system that you're safe. And safety is the foundation of power. A regulated nervous system can hold higher frequencies. It can sustain clarity. It can create without collapsing under doubt. The more you master your breath, the more access you gain to the present moment. And the present moment is where all power lives. Focus is another tool, and one of the most misused. Where your attention goes, energy flows. But most people's focus is hijacked by apps, by fear, by comparison. Scattered focus scatters your field, and a scattered field sends mixed signals into the quantum. If you want precision results, you need precision energy. That means choosing what you focus on like your life depends on it. Because, energetically, it does. And then there's emotion, the amplifier, the transmitter. The emotion you choose is the tone of your message to the field. Are you speaking in confidence or in scarcity, in courage or in doubt, in conviction or in desperation? The field doesn't judge, but it does match. It always matches. Which means your job isn't to chase the outcome. It's to maintain the broadcast, to stay in the emotional state of the reality you're calling in long enough for the field to catch up. When you do this consistently, you don't have to force things. Reality begins to respond before you act. Ideas come faster. People show up at the perfect moment. Timelines collapse, not because you're manipulating life, but because you're in harmony with it. You're not pushing, you're inviting. And the universe knows the difference. Every moment is a message. Every breath, every thought, every emotion is a line of code. And the field is always listening, not to what you say, but to what you are. If you want to speak to the quantum, stop yelling your desires into the void. Whisper them with your state. Hold them with your breath. And feel them with such clarity that the universe has no choice but to answer back. There are multiple versions of your life already in existence, not in theory, not in fantasy, but in reality at the quantum level. Different timelines, different outcomes, all waiting to be chosen. And the key that unlocks them isn't time, effort, or luck, it's frequency. Your energetic state is the selector. It decides which version of you becomes real and which stay dormant in the field of possibility. You don't stumble into your destiny, you align with it. People talk about fate like it's fixed, like there's only one path and everything is predetermined, but that's just a comfortable illusion. The truth is harder to swallow and far more empowering. Every time you shift your internal state, you shift your trajectory. When you change your energy, you're not just changing how you feel, you're changing the version of reality that responds to you. It's not metaphorical, it's mechanical. You tune to a new signal, and the field begins arranging itself around that signal. The people, the opportunities, the setbacks, the synchronicities, all of it recalibrates based on what you're broadcasting. This is why identity work is so powerful. Because who you believe you are is the foundation of your frequency. If you see yourself as a survivor, life keeps throwing things to survive. If you see yourself as always behind, life keeps showing you clocks. If you see yourself as an outsider, life continues to reflect a world where you don't belong. The shift happens the moment you stop seeing your current circumstances as proof of who you are and start treating them as a reflection of who you've been. The past created this frequency, but the future bends when you change it. The mistake most people make is waiting for confirmation before they shift their energy. They want the job offer before they feel secure, the relationship before they feel loved, the success before they feel worthy. But that's not how the field works. Reality doesn't give you a reason to feel, it gives you a mirror of what you feel consistently. So, if you're waiting for permission to embody your next level, you'll wait forever. Timelines don't respond to hope, they respond to embodiment. There's a version of you that already has what you're asking for, not in some faraway dream, but in a timeline that's entangled with the version of you who's willing to live like it's already true. That's the paradox. You become before you receive. You live it before it shows up. You hold the vibration before the evidence appears. And the longer you can hold it, the more real it becomes. Every timeline has a frequency range. If your energy doesn't match that range, you can't access it. It's like trying to tune into a radio station without the right frequency. You get static, distortion, noise. You're technically in the vicinity, but you're not synced, so the music never plays. That's how most people live, right next to what they want, but never quite inside it. Because they're close in thought, but not in energy. When people talk about quantum leaps, this is what they mean. Not skipping steps, but skipping identities. Choosing to live as the version of you who no longer doubts, who no longer hesitates, who no longer entertains timelines where your power is muted. It's not arrogance, it's energetic clarity. And that clarity becomes gravitational. Reality begins to conform. Things that once felt impossible become effortless. Not because they've changed, but because you have. You've already had moments like this. Times where you were in full alignment, when something just clicked, and your world rearranged itself in ways you couldn't have planned. That wasn't luck. That was a brief glimpse into a timeline that was always there, waiting for you to stay long enough to live inside it. The question is no longer, what do I want? The real question is, who do I need to become to experience it? And once you answer that, not with words, but with energy, you won't need to chase the timeline. You'll become the frequency that calls it in. You've been taught to look outside of yourself for the answer, for validation, for permission, for power. The system was built that way on purpose. If you're always chasing the next guru, the next method, the next fix, you'll never notice that the source of transformation has been within you the entire time. But here's the truth most people will never tell you because they can't profit from it. You are the source. Not the tool, not the technique, you. That means the quantum field doesn't respond to crystals, mantras, or vision boards. It responds to coherence, to clarity, to the version of you that knows exactly who you are and doesn't flinch. When you stop outsourcing your power and start recognizing that your energy is the engine, everything changes. You stop waiting for a sign and become the signal. You stop trying to attract and start aligning. That's the moment you leave behind the illusion that you're small, limited, or waiting for life to choose you. You were never here to be chosen. You were here to choose. There's something profound that happens when you fully embody this. Your energy shifts, yes, but so does your posture, your presence, your decisions. You stop asking, "What should I do?" and start asking, "Who am I becoming?" You stop moving from desperation and start moving from inner authority. You stop reacting to circumstances and begin responding to your own alignment. And people feel it. Reality feels it. The field adjusts. This isn't about ego or blind confidence, it's about resonance. When you own your energy, you move differently, not because you're pretending to be powerful, but because you remember that you always were. And in that remembering, you stop leaking energy into doubt, comparison, and waiting. You stop needing validation because you become your own evidence. Every time you ignore your intuition to fit in, every time you shrink to keep the peace, every time you betray what you know for the comfort of what's familiar, you dim your frequency. And over time, you forget how powerful your signal once was. But that power never left. It just went dormant, buried under years of fear, programming, and distraction. And now it's rising. You don't need another blueprint. You need to reclaim your own. You don't need another step-by-step system. You need to step into the version of yourself that trusts the next step will reveal itself the moment you're aligned. That's how the field works. It doesn't give you the full map. It gives you the next breadcrumb. But only when your energy matches the version of you who's ready to walk that path. Imagine a world where the tools you've relied on, rituals, teachings, philosophies, reach their limit, like a map that only takes you partway up a mountain. They're valuable guides, yes, but they're not the summit. You are. The real power lies within, and the gateway to it is as simple as your breath. Your state is the message you send into the universe. Your focus is the lever that moves mountains, and you're not here to blindly follow ideas. You're here to embody the truth itself. This truth is electrifying. Your reality isn't waiting for you to catch up, it's waiting for you to lead. You were never meant to be a passive bystander, watching change unfold from the sidelines. You're the catalyst, the spark, not through force or manipulation, but through embodied alignment. Mastery isn't about a flawlessness, it's about presence, the unshakable ability to stand firm in who you are, no matter what life hurls your way, responding from your core rather than your scars, guiding your energy before the world gives you a nudge. When you step fully into this, the game transforms. You stop playing by the old rules, the societal scripts, the expectations others impose, because the quantum field doesn't care about those. It cares about your frequency. And when that frequency declares, "I remember who I am," a ripple effect begins. The people around you, the circumstances, the opportunities, they start to remember too, aligning with the truth you embody. There's a pivotal moment when concepts cease to be abstract theories and become living practice, a threshold where true transformation ignites. You've seen the patterns, the way energy flows when you're in sync, the way reality shifts when you're not. You've felt it in your bones. You know now that reality isn't rigid, it's fluid, a canvas reshaped with every breath. Each day, you're either reinforcing an old frequency, stuck in past loops, or choosing a new one, a bolder, brighter version of your life. And that choice, it's yours, not just in your mind, but in your energy. This is where most people falter. They hesitate, waiting for certainty, for someone else to stamp their approval and say, "You're ready." But that validation never arrives because the only one who can affirm your alignment is you. Society has drilled into you that action drives results. Work harder, push more, do more. Yet, what you're uncovering now runs deeper. Your state creates outcomes. When your state shifts, when you move from doubt to clarity, from chaos to calm, the field has no choice but to mirror it. The rules don't bend because you've memorized them. They bend because you've evolved into someone new. You don't need to strain to create anymore. Instead, live as if the reality you desire is already listening, because it is. Every action you take, every thought you entertain, every emotional ripple you feel is a brushstroke, either painting over an old timeline or anchoring a new one. This isn't pressure, it's precision. You're not here to be perfect, chasing an unattainable high vibe 24/7. Alignment means honesty, facing where you are with courage. It means regulation, calming your inner storm. It means sovereignty, owning your power. It's about knowing the energy you hold and choosing to direct it, rather than letting it drift like a rudderless ship. The question that burns now is, are you ready to live from this space consistently? Not just when it's easy, not only during a quiet meditation, but in the thick of traffic, in heated conversations, in the weight of decisions. When bills loom and the future feels like a foggy horizon, can you hold the signal then? Can you maintain the frequency of clarity when old patterns claw at you, trying to drag you back into confusion? That's where the shift becomes real, not in the comfort of calm, but in the contrast of chaos. You're not here to bargain with your past, to plead with ghosts of what was. You're here to author your future, not by gripping outcomes with white-knuckled control, but by commanding your energy with quiet authority. This command isn't loud or forceful. It's calm, clear, unwavering. A presence so steady it doesn't need to chase, because it knows the field is already responding. So, what does living this way look like? It's owning your energy before anyone else labels it for you, claiming your power in a world that loves to define you. It's carving out space for coherence amid the noise, finding stillness in the storm. It's choosing intention over impulsive reaction, clarity over chaos, embodiment over empty performance. It means striding into every room, every opportunity, every uncharted moment with the assurance of belonging. Because the version of you who holds that frequency already does. Picture yourself walking into a challenging meeting. Instead of tensing with fear of judgment, you breathe deeply, centering yourself. Your focus locks onto a vision of collaboration. Your state radiates calm confidence, and the room shifts. Colleagues soften, ideas flow, and a solution emerges. Or imagine a day when bills pile up. Rather than spiraling into panic, you hold a frequency of trust, directing your energy toward abundance. Soon, an unexpected payment arrives. A side gig takes off. These aren't miracles. They're the field responding to your signal. We want to sincerely thank you for taking the time to watch the video in its entirety. If you're interested in exploring more topics on spirituality, inner transformation, or mind philosophy, don't forget to subscribe to the Top Hidden Knowledge channel for more content on wisdom, spirituality, and personal growth. Or, if you have time, check out other videos on this channel. Until next time.